Kathy is with Lyra Valkyria. She mentions, last time we were in this building, we were wrestling for the tag titles, and she wanted to be proud of how she made it to the top and wonders who she could have been if Bayley had been the type of person I thought she was. And Kathy says, well, Bayley might be out of her head, but I think Lyra's out of her mind.
That's not very nice to say.
Yeah. How about
some issues?
How about our timing on the comparisons on Monday to the Pigeon Lady from Home Alone? And
what's the timing? What do you mean? What happened?
She passed away the other day.
Whoa, really?
Yes.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Yes.
To hear that.
I didn't know she was still alive. She was
Brenda Fricker.
Yes.
81.
Well-known Irish actress.
Oscar-winning Irish actress.
Yes.
Oh.
Then Jackie interviews Bayley, and she tried to give Lyra grace, but I'm different. I think different, and I will end Lyra before she gets started. And nearly did end her before this match got started.
Oh, yeah.
We got new music for Lyra. She comes out. This is, generic heel music instead of generic babyface music.
It's kind of like based off of her old theme, but with a bit more sort of like electronic
horror.
Yeah, like I don't know, like somehow like she can't afford a shower, she can't afford new clothes, but somehow was able to afford.
She can afford needles and pills. She needs a new render here for these graphics.
Oh yeah, way outdated.
This needs to move on. So the early portion of this match, Bayley yanks her underneath on the apron and lands this forearm. Apparently, Bayley got ready for this match by watching Brock and Randy and just opens up her nose. And you see this by Lyra just kneeling on the floor, and you just see this blood pouring onto the mat. And they made sure to replay this in slow motion multiple times for all of us to see that Bayley just probably broke her nose. And Lyra, to her credit, like just continued onward here. Like obviously they had a lot planned for this match. They had a post-match angle set up. So the idea of this getting waved off, I know what Lyra was thinking. I mean, we can only have one non-start to an Irish competitor this month. I've got to power through and continue this one.
That or they're thinking, how is this match going to come across when Lyra's face is blurred on Peacock? A few hours from now.
I hope this Netflix. This would just be Bayley fighting like a blurred image for 13 minutes. I will just say this: I will never wish an injury upon somebody, but and hear me out here. Lyra getting a broken nose,
it's perfect.
That face mask. I mean, if ever there was an injury that's like a broken nose is not going to derail your career. You're basically going like. There is a silver lining if she has broken her nose and has to wear a mask on television. Like, I would not be taking time off. This could be something that it at least enhances this character a little and sends her further into the deep end.
Oh my God. The silver lining was in this match, dude. Like this blood happening was the best thing that could have happened to this match tonight. But you can see they pretty much did everything they could to nullify its effects. They paused. They had him off camera, wiping the blood off
the towel was out. I mean,
paused the action. We're kind of back to, like they didn't stop the match or anything. Like they didn't completely stop it, but like they're certainly a lot more sensitive to it now than they may have been like even in previous.
Well, they know Netflix is now out. It's like, Jesus, we can't even show our merchandise now on Netflix. So, I mean, not that this is on Netflix, but maybe that's the mentality.
Do we know that it's a Netflix call?
Which the blood?
Yeah, like the blurring of the face.
I mean, we haven't seen that on other platforms that they're on. Like, we haven't seen that example on ESPN. I doubt we're going to see it here on Peacock. So it would seem like it's specific to Netflix if that's the only place we're seeing all this censoring and such. But I did feel like the involvement of the ref and checking on her, like I did think it affected like the crowd that, they did struggle heat-wise during this, but they like just powered through this. And, for the potential of a broken nose, I was very impressed with Lyra just continuing here because she just like doesn't need any time to check. She's just right back into the match. Lyra gets suplexed off the apron. This is where the ref is checking on her, and Lyra just storms at Bayley, and the ref's got his towel out. Bayley hits this crazy suicide dive under the middle rope. And Lyra gets out of a Boston Crab, hits her guillotine leg drop off the top, and then a sunset flip sends Lyra into the corner. Rose Plant is avoided, and Bayley puts on a crossface, and they emphasize putting the forearm right around the nose. And
the bank statement.
The bank statement, I guess we had here, and another Sasha spot later on as well, a callback to their match in New York, but not as smooth when she went to kick off the bottom rope. She needed a couple tries to do that one. So she loses her from the crossface. Nightwing is stopped, and then a Bayley to belly is blocked, and Lyra puts on her new bulldog choke, and Bayley is like foaming at the mouth, or at least trying her best to, and goes out cold, and Lyra wins. Continues the attack by tossing her into the post, reapplies the bulldog choke, and then a Nightwing onto the steps. So just the brutalization of Bayley. At the end of this, a new finisher for Lyra. I think, honestly, like, this was... I look at this as a positive for Lyra. Like, this was, it's unfortunate you got your nose busted, but this was the best possible outcome for this character. And it was at least something for Lyra, who is sort of just, I think, needed something that would, put some emphasis on her. And this seems to at least be the start of the attempt to do that. Yeah.
I mean, I think, like, with the character rebrand that she's been putting so much effort into, it wouldn't have made sense for her to lose. I think the match ultimately for me was just kind of okay. Like, I couldn't help but think about the great potential it could have gotten to if they took more advantage of the blood. We think about like the great sort of like AEW performances involving women and those bloody scenes that like made Britt Baker, at one time. This might have achieved some level of that. I mean, they weren't given the time, they weren't given the sort of leeway to use weapons and whatnot, but that level of like seriousness really would have like fit perfectly with the type of like intensity and personal grudge that they were building to with this particular feud. So I just can't help but like wonder, hey, like if they didn't have these sort of policies, what this could have been. I think there's a better match between them. The action to me didn't get to such a high level by the end. But I do love them using the opportunity to debut a new finish for Lyra. In terms of reactions, I thought it was kind of mild. I think
I didn't think the crowd was into this much. Like, maybe a bit in the post match. I more so look at this as a win for like the Lyra character and what you get coming out of this. That I hope they can, integrate and that Lyra can catch some momentum coming out of this.
Yeah, she's certainly, I think, like, catching people's attention, and I think she's making people talk about like what is a pretty bold character shift. I do think it could use a lot more time to like be workshopped, and they're not going to really have that luxury because they're putting this right onto TV. I think, like, to me, the look needs to be a little bit more consistent. Like, she's still wrestling in her like Lyra Valkyria like gear. I think like she needs to overhaul like almost everything. I think like the promo can use a bit more development. Right now, it just kind of feels like bad acting to me without like, and bad acting can work in wrestling, but it still needs to feel a bit more like over the top if you're going for that, or just like a bit more sort of like memorable and appealing in some way. I think she could just develop it a little bit more. But they're certainly on a path, and they certainly seem to be committed to what you would assume to be another rematch with Bayley and Lyra here.
Yeah, I mean, this does feel like at least temporary write out of Bayley. She shouldn't be just jumping back into things like on Raw Monday, you would think.
But it wasn't that big of a spot. It was just like Nightwing onto steel steps.
Well,
right?
Maybe a week.
Like, do you see SummerSlam for these two, or no?
I guess. Like, what are we expecting? Like 6 matches per night, 7 matches per night?
Probably 6.
6? Yeah. So you have 12 matches. So I don't know if this makes the cut at 12. Maybe Raw the next night. It's July on the Post Wrestling Cafe, and that means our extensive G1 coverage begins starting July 11th. We're going to have reviews of every single G1 card right up to and including the finals in the middle of August. Plus, Rewind Away takes a look at 2 episodes of Heels. We're also going to be going back to 2005 for a review of WrestleMania 21, and it is the start of our double shot episodes covering this season of Dark Side of the Ring. Plus, we are going to dive into the 3rd season of WWE Unreal. All that and so much more can be yours by signing up to the Post Wrestling Cafe. It gets you XL editions of Rewind to Raw, Dynamite, and SmackDown, Collision Course on a weekly basis, MCU later, and so much more.